Okay. So this is just I share this because if you know this beforehand, you know what to focus on. Okay. For I do this with every unit that I start the students with. So for this unit, we're talking about human physiology. So if we go here, you have all the details here. So this is an assessment that you will get for at the end of the two learning outcomes that we have. So, so it's aspects of human physiology. This is the core unit code. The title is Human Physiology. Coming towards what is expected from you. I'll give you a whole understanding of what this is, but when the time comes. So what do we expect from you? The first learning outcome that we expect from you is to understand that the human body um, comprises of organs and systems. Okay, so every human body, uh, it cannot work without organs and systems. So we have organs to support our cells and systems. Okay, so here you would want to know how to describe the levels of organization within an organism, describe examples of major organ systems in the body. We'll talk about that. Explain the relationship. So every organ has a relationship with one another. There'll hardly be, so the liver will have an impact on your heart will have an impact on your liver, your liver will have an impact on your kidneys. So they're all very interconnected, okay? And you would also want to know how the organ systems work together in order to maintain normal body functioning. So even if the just one part of the body or just one function of the body, it's got a malfunction, it's not working properly, the whole body is impacted because of that. Okay. So even if you've got just a headache or a migraine, your whole body is being impacted by that. You can't work properly, you can't function properly. And then we want to understand homeostasis. What is homeostasis, and how, what does it mean when we talk about the internal environment of the body? So we'll talk about the main concepts of homeostasis, and we'll also explain how the endocrine system is well suited to maintain homeostasis. So we have around 2 learning outcomes for this session, for this unit. So we will do one today, and the other one will be done uh, tomorrow, and same time. And then we will have on the 14th of December, we will have an assignment discussion. So there are 2 learning outcomes for this course of human physiology. Please, any questions in between? I always say, please ask me, okay? Instead of thinking that if it's right or wrong, do not think of that. Just ask me. If I can answer you, well and good. If I can't answer you, I'll come with an answer next time whenever I meet you. Okay, so I'll start sharing my screen for my slides. So as I said, I'm going very slow. I won't go fast. I just need you to, whatever I'm teaching, you need to understand that and grasp the concepts. Because if I complete everything I can complete everything in just an hour's time, but my objective is for you to understand what we're talking about. Okay. So when we talk about human physiology, we're now talking about understanding that the human body, it comprises of organs and of organ systems. Okay, so there are organs like the brain is an organ, the kidney is an organ, the liver is an organ. You have several organs. Okay, so how do those work together? We'll talk about them. So what is our indicative content? Indicative content means whatever you have to go through within within this unit. So we will talk about what the levels of organization are. Okay, just noting that's okay. Okay, we'll talk about, sorry, what the levels of organization are. What do we mean by, just a minute, sorry. Yeah. what an organism is, what's an organ system, what is an organ. So an organ system is different. Within the organ system, you have organs. What are tissues? What are cells? What's an organelle? Sorry. What's a molecule? What's an atom? Okay. Uh, the nervous system, we'll talk about this. Okay, what reflexes there are, what's the crane, what's the central nervous system? There's a central nervous system, there's a peripheral nervous system, and there is an autonomic nervous system. Okay, and our body functions with according to the impulses generated by all of these. The digestive system. So we'll talk about the anatomy and the physiology of the alimentary tract or the GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. How is digestion and absorption happening? What is the role of enzymes in the digestive process? What is the role of digestion in providing material for respiration and cell growth? The cardiovascular system, we'll talk about the anatomy and the physiology of various systems within the cardiovascular system or the CVS. The respiratory system, the anatomy and the physiology. We'll talk about them. What is there? What happens within the respiratory system? Okay. What is the pH? What are these all systems? What is happening within this system? We'll talk all about it. The excretory system. Okay. We'll talk about what, obviously, when we are taking in, we are giving out as well. So what is it that we are giving out? How do we give it out? We'll talk about normal physiology and we'll talk about when it's not normal also. So coming through towards, again, if I go very fast, please would you let me know? And if I go very slow, again, just give me a thumbs up. If you're not comfortable talking, if obviously some of you will be at work, some of you have family, I understand, but just give me an indication that you're okay with it. Okay, so that I'm at peace that okay, I've done my bit. So this is a cell. Okay, so every part in our body, every organ in our body, it's made of cells. Okay, every organism. So every living entity, this is an organism. We talked about, and for you, those who were in the infectious diseases module, I'm not sure if you were there, but even if you weren't there, an organism is a living entity. So a bacteria, for instance, is a living entity. Um, uh, a virus, as opposed to a bacteria, it's considered uh, to be living by some and non-living by some. Okay, so however, every organism that is alive, that is living, it's composed of organ systems that work together, and this is to maintain life. What is an atom? So an atom is the basic unit of matter, and it consists of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Okay, so within an atom, you will have protons. Okay, there are three parts of an atom. So without an atom, your body cannot exist. Okay, so an atom is the basic unit of matter from where the body arises, and you have oxygen there as well. What's a molecule? A molecule is a combination of atoms. Okay, so they are bonded together, they are bound together. And they're the smallest fundamental unit of a chemical compound. For instance, water, which is known as H2O. So an atom is oxygen. An example of an atom is oxygen. So it's just one unit of matter. So when they both combine together, hydrogen and oxygen, they make they form a molecule. And if they're broken down together, this becomes hydrogen, this becomes oxygen. So they become separate atoms again. Okay, so an atom combines to form a molecule. And what's an organelle? It's a specialized subunit within a cell. So within this cell, you will have organelles. Okay, so these are organelles. All these inside this cell are organelles. They are subunits within a cell that has a special function. So these organelles have special functions, okay? Whatever names you're seeing here. What is a cell? It's the basic unit of life, and it's the smallest unit of a living organism, and it carries out all functions of life. So when there is cell death, this for instance, if there's necrosis, if there's if you have I'll give an example of a person who dies. These cells stop working. So if this cell stops working, wherever the cell stops working, there will be loss of life. So you may lose a limb, for instance. You might not die, you're still alive, but you've lost your limb. You've lost your leg, for instance. There is cell death that's happened there. Okay. And these functions within within the cell, you have cell organelles, and the functions won't be carried out because of cell death. What is a tissue? So all these cells, when they join together, they form a tissue. Okay, so atoms join together to form molecules. Within a cell, you have cell organelles. Cells combine to form tissues. Okay, and what's an organ? An organ is a further enhancement of the tissue. And the different organs, as I said, your eyes are organs, your ears are organs. So they're a group of different tissues that work together. So if there was no cell, there would be no tissue, there would be no organ, there would be no organ system. Okay. And what's a system? So within a hospital, for instance, you have different departments. So the whole hospital has a system working. So this you can consider as the whole system. Okay. And these are the departments within the hospital. Okay. So they're different departments. You can call them as organs. So they all work together to towards the smooth working of the hospital. Okay. And within each department, there is a system. Okay, so the organ system, in the similar way, it's a group of organs that work together to perform a specific function or set of functions. I hope that's clear. We'll come back to this once we're talking about cells. Okay, so there are basically 4 types of tissues throughout the body. Okay, so you have the connective tissue. These are found in your veins, your arteries. They have connections within each other. Again, remember, they're a group of cells. Okay, so cells join together to form tissues. And then there's an epithelial tissue. So what's the epithelium? This is the tissue that covers your body surfaces. So your skin is made up of surface epithelium. Okay, so this is epithelial tissue. This is different from this. So these are histological figures. Okay, so you can see very deep inside how the connective tissue looks, how the epithelial tissue looks. Then coming towards the muscle tissue. Okay, so this makes up the muscle, obviously. This is found within the heart. So the heart is also a muscle. You have your body muscles. That is also a muscle. And then you have nervous tissue, which looks so different compared to all these 3. Okay. So this is known as the nervous system tissue, the nervous tissue, sorry. So you have 4 types of tissues: connective tissues, epithelial tissues, muscle tissues, and nervous tissues. Coming towards an example of an organ. Okay, so what is an organ? We talked about that it has a specific function. So your heart is an organ. It's made up of cardiac tissues. Okay, so we talked about muscle tissue. This is how it's made. And it functions different compared to how your body, the rest of your muscles in your body function. So it is made up of cardiac tissues that make your heart pump. So what does the heart do? Your heart pumps blood out of it. It gets blood inside and it pumps blood outside as well. Okay, so you have smooth muscle tissues also that make your heart stable and flexible, so the arteries can contract and the cells can help prevent clogging or clotting. Okay, so you have the smooth muscle that works here within your heart, and your heart is flexible, so it has expansion, so your heart can go can contract. So contraction means it expels out all the blood from these arteries and these veins. So blue are veins, red are arteries. So blood that comes inside here, um, it 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 comes through the veins, okay, and it goes out through the arteries. So your blood, whenever it's going out, it needs contraction of the heart. So once the heart is contracted, it expels all the blood from the heart and out of here throughout the body. Okay, that is known as the ejection fraction, how much of it is ejected, the blood. So the better the heart functions, the better is your circulation going to happen. Okay, so and these are smooth, and they are smooth muscles, and they are made very flexible so that they can expand also. So why do they expand? Because they need to increase their size or expand, because they need to take in blood also. So these blood vessels, these veins and these arteries, they need to expand properly. If they don't expand, obviously there's going to be clogging of blood. So if you have a, let's take the example of a large wide lane where you're driving your car. And let's take, so how will you drive your car? You will have less of congestion, you will have more of space, you will have less of traffic jams, you'll reach easily to your destination. However, when you have very thin lanes, okay, so there's more of congestion, it's going to be difficult for you to reach your destination. So there's going to be jamming, okay, traffic jamming. So in the heart, this is known as clotting. Okay, so your blood, it it starts clumping together, because if there's not enough space for the blood to be transported to the rest of the body, it becomes clogged, it becomes congested. That is how you get high blood pressure. Okay, so blood is exerting its pressure on the blood vessels. Okay, so if it's not expanding, if these arteries don't expand and they're not flexible enough, there'll be clotting of blood. Okay, I hope that's we'll come back to it if it's not clear. We talked about an example of an organ. What's an organ system? So there are 12 organ systems in the human body, and they all have a role to play. So you have the integumentary system, you have the skeletal system, the muscular system, the nervous system, the endocrine system, cardiovascular system, the lymphatic system, respiratory system, digestive system, urinary system, reproductive system, male and female, and excretory system. Okay, so you have all of these. This is the integumentary system, which comprises of the internal body structures, and it's the site of sensory receptors. So you can sense pain, for instance. You have your skin and your nails in the integumentary system. The skeletal system, it's another system here. It supports the body and it enables movement. So that is the main function. It's made up of cartilage, it's made up of bones, and it's made up of joints. So your skeletal system helps you to move around. Okay. The muscular system, as the name suggests, this will also help in movement, and they maintain body temperature. So you have your skeletal muscles here, and you have tendons here, which are also muscles. They are not bones. They work with bones to carry out movements. The nervous system, it comprises of the brain, the spinal cord, and the peripheral nerves. Okay. So within the brain, there's the central nervous system. From the spinal cord, you have the peripheral nervous system. So the nervous system will detect and process sensory information. So if, for instance, in the integumentary system, if the skin is burnt, sensations go to the brain, which is the nervous system, and your brain tells you to move away from that object that is causing the burn. Okay, so if there's a person whose brain does not work properly, they would not know pain. Okay, so what happens in diabetes? Your nerves, your peripheral nerves, they do not work properly. They don't have enough sensations. So even if there's in your nails, so there's an infection in your nails, or there is a painful condition in your nails, let's say, your brain does not know that. So you tend to ignore that infection or that pain or that painful stimulus. In diabetes, I'm giving an example of diabetes mellitus. And what happens? It grows and grows and grows. And some people, it grows so much that just a small nail infection can cause the whole foot to die. The whole muscles or the cells within the foot would die, or the whole limb could die because of the infection spreading so much. So an infection generally is very painful, but because their nervous system, their peripheral nerves are not working properly, they would not feel that. Okay. And because they don't feel it, they don't do anything about it. So it's not something that you run away from in an infection. You treat it. But when you don't know there's an infection going on, how do you treat it when you don't even feel pain? So the main reason why we go for treatment is pain, obviously, or fever, symptoms. So we won't there's very few chances that there's an infection happening somewhere and there are no symptoms, or you don't feel pain, or you don't feel discomfort. Okay, that's an example of the nervous system working in coordination with the integumentary system. So all of these work together. Okay. You have the endocrine system, which has several glands. Okay, so these glands secrete hormones, and there are different various processes in the body that these hormones control. Okay, so this is the reason why they're there. So you have your pituitary gland, which is in your brain. You have your thyroid gland, which is in your neck. You have the pancreas, which is in the abdomen. You have your adrenal glands, which are just above the kidneys. You have your testes and your ovaries. Okay, so they have different processes. And again, they work in coordination with each other. However, your brain doesn't tell the thyroid gland to function the way it does for pain. So for glands, the nervous system has different ways it functions. Even with the heart. So if the person's heart stops functioning, you can't tell your brain cannot tell your heart to start functioning again. Now, if there's a person who's in a state of coma, their brain does not work. Okay, so their heart will still work. But the moment the heart stops working, the brain will also stop working. So they're all connected. We'll talk about how their connections work. So the cardiovascular system, it delivers oxygen and nutrients to tissues. So the cardiovascular system comprises of the heart and the blood vessels. Okay. So, and they equalize, so they balance the body temperature. Okay, so we had talked about the body temperature here also. There's maintenance of body temperature through the muscular system, and the cardiovascular system also contributes to it. So these are all the blood vessels, and they are there to support life. So what is oxygen? Oxygen is life. Okay, if oxygen cuts down, you don't have any life. The cell dies. So wherever there is cell death, it's because of lack of oxygen. And oxygen carries nutrients. Okay, so there are nutrients that are carried from the heart to various organs of the body. So all of these organs, all of these muscles, the skin, the nails, everything, it needs blood supply. Okay, so anything that doesn't have a blood supply, um, such as people who are anemic, they have less hemoglobin. So heme and globin, they're a combination of oxygen, and they carry nutrients. So if you have less of blood, that means you'll have less of oxygen. So anemic people are more breathless because they don't have enough oxygenation to their lungs. They are sluggish because they don't have enough oxygenation to their muscles and their tissues. Okay, so on and so forth. Coming towards the nervous system. Okay, if I go very slow, please let me know. I know this presentation is long. It is going to be dense. If you need a break, let me know. I'm okay without a break because obviously I don't have much time. However, if you need more explanation on any point, please let me know. Please feel free, because this is all new to you. I'll just 2 minutes. I'll stay quiet because I'm just taking your attendance, if that's okay. Just a minute. This is something that I have to do on a regular basis. Just a minute. That's done. Okay. So where were we? Human physiology. Okay. So again, the nervous system, we are talking about the nervous system. So what happens that the nervous system, it has two parts. There is a central nervous system, okay, which comprises of the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, this is central. And you have the peripheral nervous system, which is made up of nerves that branch off from the spinal cord, from the central nervous system. So this is the central nervous system, which has the brain. So in the orange, you have the brain and the spinal cord. And from this, you have the nerves coming out throughout the body, which is known as peripheral nervous system. So even these are the nerves that look like ribs. So they're nerves in between the ribs. So everywhere, your eyes, your nose, your fingers, everywhere, they're supported by peripheral nervous system. And what is the peripheral nervous system supported by? The spinal cord. So you can see their nerves coming out from the spinal cord, and they extend throughout the body. So you have, and within that, you have the peripheral nerves and you have the sympathetic nerves. Okay, so what is this figure showing? There are different names giving to different nerves. Okay, so and the different functions that they carry out. So you have the parasympathetic nerves and you have the sympathetic nerves. So both of them function in different ways. Okay, so and they more or less they support all the organs. So let's talk about the uh, parasympathetic nerves. So for instance, what is their function? Uh, they constrict your pupil. Okay, so your pupil goes, your eyes, the inner side of your eyes, the inner ball of your eyes, it goes constricted. Okay, that's the function of the parasympathetic nervous system. That is when, because of certain conditions, your pupils constrict. Okay, then there is stimulation of saliva. So there is more of your saliva that is stimulated. There's more of spit that's stimulated within your mouth. So there's the secretory organs within your mouth that secrete saliva, and the parasympathetic nervous system does this. Okay, so there's more saliva formation. Now remember that there's an excess of everything that happens within the parasympathetic nerves when the parasympathetic nerves are stimulated. And when it's the sympathetic nerves, the exact opposite happens. So when you have constriction of the pupils, you have dilation of pupils with the sympathetic nervous system. Again, with the sympathetic nervous system, it inhibits salivation. So with the parasympathetic nervous system, you had more of saliva being produced. You have less of saliva now being produced because of the sympathetic nervous system. In the respiratory system, your airways are constricting, whereas in the sympathetic nervous system, you have more relaxation of the airways. Okay, so we'll come to this. It's a bit complex. So I just want to tell you that there's an opposite of both of these functions. So the sympathetic nerve, these parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, they are all part of the nervous system. Okay, they're part of the spinal cord basically. And the different functions that are carried out by different organs because of the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. We'll talk more in detail. So this is a YouTube video that you can have a look at. I'll just I'll just share this video with you. You can have a look at it. Later on, and I'm putting this in the chat box, the link to this video. So just have a look at it, and this will give you a deeper understanding of how this nervous system works. What are the different parts of the nervous system, just as we've talked about it. So yeah. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Now coming towards the digestive system. Okay, so the digestive system, as we know, it has to do with digestion. That's the name given to it. And you have different structures within the digestive system. Okay, so it includes the mouth. So you start from the mouth, the oral cavity. It's called the oral cavity. The pharynx. Okay, so you have the pharynx here. You have the stomach. So you have the, so after the pharynx, the throat, it's also called the throat. You have the esophagus, which is a tube-like structure, which opens into the stomach. You have the small intestine. This is the small intestine. And then you have the large intestine. Okay. And then you have the anus and the rectum. So all throughout this process, you have all of these that are working towards the digestion of food. Okay, so although the structures are this way, but there's also other glands that are part of the digestive system. They're not a part of it, I would say, but they contribute towards digestion. Okay, so we'll talk about what is within this different systems. We'll talk one. So this is another. Okay. So if we start from the oral cavity, the mouth, within your mouth, you have salivary glands. As I said, you have saliva. Okay, that's you have different glands there working. You have the parotid gland, you have the submandibular and the submental gland. or the sublingual gland. They're all there to digest your food. Now, whatever happens within this digestive system, they're all there basically to digest your food. That is the basic function. Like the heart, what does it do? It maintains your body temperature, but the main function is to circulate blood. Okay. So within your oral cavity, you have teeth that grind the food. Okay. So the grounded food, it's mixed with the saliva. It's mixed with all these the secretions of these glands. The glands give out secretions, and food can never enter the esophagus unless it is well chewed. So if it's not chewed or up, you throw up, obviously, because this is a very thin tube that it has to pass through. A large bolus of food would get stuck here. And then it goes to the stomach. Okay, from the esophagus, you have the stomach, where there are other digestive juices as well. So within the stomach also, you have churning, you have a lot of mechanical digestion and breakdown of food. Okay. After that, it goes to the small intestine, which is known as the ileum or the ileum. And then it goes to the large intestine, which is, so you have the duodenum before the ileum. So at the stomach, it goes towards the duodenum. And then you have the ileum, which is the small intestine. And then comes the large intestine, which is the last part. You have the colon, which is the transverse colon. You have different parts of the colon. You have the descending colon, and at the end, you have the rectum and the anus. So what else contributes towards digestion? You have juices that are produced, and these are produced through the salivary glands, the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. So the pancreas are somewhere at the back. Okay, the stomach lies in front of the pancreas. So these are not a part of, you would call them a part of the digestive system, I would. Some people don't, but they are, because they play a role in digestion. They have other roles also, but they have a major role in digestion because they secrete juices. So what these juices do, they further break down food. So the food that comes out in the form of feces is not the same as it was taken in. The energy is absorbed through the body, through different parts of the intestine, or through different parts of the digestive system. And the food that is not required, or the material that is not required, it is excreted out. How the digestive system works, this is again a small video that you can have a look at in your own time. Just take a note of these links that I have just shared with you. Okay. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible to you all. Okay, we'll go forwards. The cardiovascular system, this is the next system that we have. So it provides blood supply, and that's throughout the body. So you have pulmonary veins, you have veins, you have arteries, you have capillaries. So the largest blood vessel is known as the vein or the artery, and then they break down into arterioles or venules for veins. And further down, they have capillaries, which are tiniest blood vessels. Okay, so the cardiovascular system, it is there to provide blood supply throughout the body, and it responds to various stimuli outside and inside the body. It can control how much blood is required, or how much blood has to be carried out to different parts of the body. So the cardiovascular system, it comprises of the heart, the arteries, the veins, and the capillaries. I'm not going to go into details. I'll just give you a bit about what happens here. So this is the heart, okay? So the heart pumps out. So whatever is blue, that's given to the heart, okay? So and whatever is red, that is given out of the heart, okay? So the heart gives out pure blood, which is oxygen-rich blood. Oxygen-rich blood, why does it have to give it out? Because the body needs oxygen, okay? So the heart, the left side of the heart, it's pumping blood out, which is oxygen-rich blood, and it's giving it throughout the organs. It's going to all the organs of the body. Okay, so you can see it's going to the lungs, to the legs. So after it goes to the legs, the impure blood, or the blood that has less oxygen, it goes back to the heart. So that from the heart, it would be pumped out of the heart and it will go back to the lungs. What do the lungs do? They give oxygen. So this oxygen-less blood, the blood that was blue, which did not have oxygen, it's then oxygenated and it turns red again. Okay? So when it turns red again, it goes to the heart so that the heart takes the blood, it's dilated, it takes all the blood that is red, it goes to all parts of the body. How beautiful this system is made. Okay? So just imagine, so it's going everywhere. It's going to your upper body, it's going to your lungs, it's going to your lower body, it's going everywhere. And what is the body giving back? It's giving out the blood that is not very pure. So it's like this. So this is going back to the heart. And this heart then again pumps out blood to go to the lungs and give back oxygen-rich blood. Okay, I hope that is clear. Again, a video on the cardiovascular system, how it works. Just have a look at it when you are free. Okay. It's more or less the same that I've talked about. Okay. Coming towards the respiratory system. So the different parts of the respiratory system also. What are the parts? So you include the nose. Again, you have the mouth also. So people breathe through their mouth also. You have the nose, you have the mouth, you have the throat, you have the voice box, you have the windpipe and the lungs. So air that will be there outside that will enter your respiratory system through the nose or the mouth. Okay. And if it goes through in the nostrils, also called the nares, the air is warmed and humidified. So people who have healthier airways, they breathe through the nose. And who do not have healthier airways, they breathe through the mouth. So you have more of infections that go on, people who breathe through the mouth. So it is recommended to breathe through the nose. So you have the nose, you have different parts within the nose. You have the pharynx, which is known as the windpipe, very close to the digestive system. Okay. You have the larynx, which is known as the voice box. You have the trachea. Okay, so from the trachea, all this air. Now, what is the function of this? So it goes into the lungs. Okay, so your lungs are taking in all the oxygen. And what are they giving out? They're giving out carbon dioxide. Okay, so and within these lungs appear large, but within these lungs, you have small structures called alveoli. So from here, if you go deep inside the lungs, you have alveoli here. And there's a large network of blood vessels around the alveoli. So if there's an alveoli that doesn't function, the lungs don't function properly, okay? And then you don't have enough oxygen in your body. So again, the respiratory system. Please have a look at these videos. I'm talking about these videos. I'm talking whatever is in these videos, but please, 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 once you are free today, definitely today, because tomorrow when we meet, I'll have a discussion on these videos. Okay, so what you've learned. So you've seen more of these videos. Okay, so have a good look at them. The excretory system. So this is made up of the kidneys, the ureters. So you have the kidneys. So whatever fluids you take in are excreted out in the form of urine. Okay. So, sorry. You have the kidneys. the ureters. So there they are, two tubes, tube-like structures. And the urinary bladder, they go to the urinary bladder and the urethra at the end. So what is the function of these kidneys? They remove waste products. Okay, so, and they maintain salt and water balance and filters out toxins from the body. So whatever drugs that you take in, they're filtered out. They have their impact, but they're filtered out. Their toxins are filtered out through this urinary tract. Okay, so you have what is the function? To remove waste products from cellular metabolism. So cellular metabolism gives you carbon dioxide, isn't it? So a lot of bicarbonates, which is a product of that are generated as a result of your metabolism that goes on within your body, those are removed through the kidneys, also through the liver. Okay, so your liver has also got the same function, similar function, not the same function. I'll share this slide also. Please make sure you have a look at these videos. As I said already, we will go through these. I'll not go through these, but I will just ask you about these videos. That what did you see? What did you understand through them? So I'll ask each one of you questions related to it. So coming towards the endocrine system, uh, it is it is a complex network. You have glands. So this is the female endocrine system. You have the male endocrine system. They have different functions. You have hormones, and they control your body's metabolism. Okay, so what is metabolism? The functioning of your body. How much energy is released, your reproduction, your growth, your development, your response to injuries, stresses, your mood. All of these are the function of the endocrine system. Okay, so what are the different parts of the endocrine system? You have the hypothalamus, you have the pineal body. This is in these both are here within the brain. You have the pituitary gland that is within the brain. You have the thyroid, which is in the throat. You have the thymus, which is again here. Okay. You have the adrenal glands, which are above the kidneys here. You have the pancreas. Okay. These are also glands. As I said, they're part of the digestive system as well. You have the ovaries in case of a female, and you have the testes in case of a male. Okay, so these are all different functions that the body does as a result of the endocrine system. Now, the endocrine system, how does it work? It cannot work without the hormones. So any disruption that happens in the endocrine system, your hormones will either be absent or too much. Okay, this is how the endocrine system works. Again, a video for you to watch and comment on when we get back. Please make sure you have a look at these videos. Again, I'm stressing upon them because they're very important. What I will do is that I will stop here. Okay, these two slides will be, okay, just a minute. Okay. So, yeah, so we'll start our session tomorrow. There are just 4 minutes left. Any questions? I'll just go through a bit of this part. So if you want to describe the level of organization within an organism. So what are the different parts within an organism? So an organism is made up of 4 levels of organization. They are the cells, the tissues, the organs, and the organ systems. Okay. They're all linked together. As I said, the atom is the smallest unit of matter that cannot be broken down further. So oxygen cannot be broken down further. Hydrogen cannot be broken down further. They become more complex. They join together. They form molecules. and compounds. And these make up the cells and the tissues of the organism, such as atom. An example of atom was oxygen, I gave to you, and carbon can also be. So carbon dioxide is a combination of atoms, and it is known as a molecule. So a molecule is made up of two or more atoms that are bound together. You can have them as proteins, you can have them as lipids, carbohydrates, nucleic acids. They're all important for functioning of the cells. And what is a cell? It is the basic unit of life, and it is the smallest living thing that can carry out all the functions of life. You have metabolism, you have growth, you have reproduction. All of these are carried out through cells. What are tissues? As I said, they join together, the cells join together to form a tissue, and they have different functions, okay? And organs, they're again a combination of tissues. So you have the heart, it's made up of muscle tissue, nervous tissue, connective tissue, and that pumps blood throughout the body. You have organ systems. So we talked about the circulatory system. We talked about the respiratory system. So you have different parts within the systems. Okay, so the circulatory system, for instance, it comprises of the heart, which is an organ, blood vessel, which is an organ again, blood, and is responsible for transporting oxygen and nutrients to the body cells. What is an organism? It is a living thing made up of one or more cells, and they work together to carry out the functions of life, such as plants, animal, fungi, and bacteria. These are all organisms. Okay, so the major level of organization, I'll end here. This is the last minute. I have to start another class. So these are the major levels of organs. So you have, for instance, this is an organizational level, and you have different molecules, different cells. So you have hydrogen atoms, for instance, oxygen atom. So atom is the smallest particle that can live, cannot be broken down further. You have molecules that join together to form so molecules join together to form a tissue or a compound. Okay, so you have more complex molecules that join together to form tissues here. Then you have organs, which are made of more complex tissues, and then you have systems, we've talked about them, and the organizational level as a whole. So we'll talk about the rest next tomorrow, same time, 10 o'clock. But before moving towards this, I would ask you about the slides, the videos that I've shared with you, and about whatever we've talked already. Okay, so that's it from my side. Any questions? So if there are no questions, I need to start my next class. Have a safe day. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye.